Past perfect continuous tense. This tense is also known as past perfect progressive tense. This tense is an advanced tense. It is used to talk about something that started in the past and continued in the past. Example, I had been living in Florida. Now we discuss the uses of past perfect continuous tense. First, happening. It had been raining all day. We can also use this tense to talk about an ongoing action continuing to another point or event in the past. You can also use for and a duration to talk about how long that action was in progress. For example, we had been playing cricket before it started to rain. Next, I had been waiting for the train for 2 hours. Here, duration is given before it arrived. Second part of this sentence, that is this one, it arrived, is in simple past, whereas the first part, that is this, I had been waiting, this is in past perfect continuous form. We can also use this sentence for happening plus duration. He had been studying English for 6 months, or we can also say he had been studying English since April. Here, the duration has been given 6 months, or the exact point in time has been given. We can also use this tense for an ongoing action in the past and also tell about the pattern or routine and also when that action stopped. For example, we had been going to the park daily until there was a lockdown. This action was going on, going to the park daily, and this action stopped when there was a lockdown. This tense can also be used to show an ongoing action in the past as a cause plus its effect that occurred at a later time in the past. For example, the road was wet. The reason for the same was because it had been raining all night. He missed the bus because he had been talking to his friend. As he was talking to his friend, so he missed the bus. When not to use this tense, we are not to use the past perfect continuous tense in case of stative verbs. As already told, verbs are of two types, active and stative verbs. Active verbs are also known as dynamic verbs. They involve physical action. The verbs like run, jump, swim, cook are active verbs. On the other hand, stative verbs describe a state rather than an action. They relate to thoughts, opinions, emotions, and mental state. The verbs like feel, know, smell, touch, need, understand, imagine, have, and love are stative verbs. Let us understand the stative verbs. He had been knowing me since 2015. Here now is the stative verb. He had been hating me. Hate is the stative verb. We had been wanting. Want is a stative verb. So as already told, stative verbs cannot be used in continuous form. So all these sentences are wrong. We cannot use stative verbs in continuous form. Now we talk about the positive, negative, and interrogative forms of the past perfect continuous form. This is the formation. First we use subject, then had been, then use the first form of the verb followed by ing plus object. Example, I had been eating pizza. You will observe that eat is the first form of the verb. We have added ing, pizza is the object, and we have added had been to the subject. In the case of negative form of the sentence, only not is added in between had and been. So the formation of the sentence in the negative form will be subject followed by had, then not, then been, then first form of the verb followed by ing and then object. Example, I had not been eating pizza. If we are to make the sentence in interrogative form, then the had will come to the first of the sentence. Had I been eating pizza? And then we also mark question mark at the end of the sentence. So the question will start with sentence will with start with word had followed by subject, then been, then we will write verb in its first form, then followed by ing, and then will come object. Other examples of this tense are: I had been playing cricket for 2 hours. He had been waiting for you since Monday. She had not been eating junk food since 2019. He had been using the same bike for 8 years. Question words. There are certain question words which we can also use in this tense. For example, where, how long, why, and what. Examples of these questions are: why had you been working so hard? What had they been eating before they ate pizza? What had you been cooking? Where had you been working before you joined this company? Where had he been living? In all these questions, you will observe that hard takes place second place, and other points remain the same. And at our last of the sentence, we add interrogation. There are some contractions which we can use in past perfect continuous tense. You will observe that I had been changed as I'd been changing. That is, A has been removed and apostrophe has been added, and both these words have been joined together. Had been has been made joint, and it becomes I'd been singing. I had not been singing has also been contracted, and had not, in the case of not, O has been deleted, apostrophe has been added, and it becomes I hadn't been singing. We use these contractions mostly in conversation and informal writing. We do not normally use these contractions in business writing and academic writings. We can also use short answers in past perfect continuous. If the question is had had he been cooking for a long time, our answer will be yes, he had. So you will observe that there is no contraction, whereas when we give the answer in negative, there is contraction. No, he hadn't. You will observe that had not has been contracted and it has been made hadn't. Next, we are also have to add ing in the case of past perfect continuous tense. That is, we have to add ing at the end of the verb. So here are certain rules which we have to follow. In case of certain verbs which end in silent e, we have to drop e and add ing. For example, use becomes using, we have dropped e, and same happens in the case of smile and make, we have removed e and add ing. Use becomes using, smile becomes smiling, make becomes making. Then there are certain verbs which follow the CVC pattern. C stands for consonant, V stands for vowel. In that case, we have to double the last letter and add ing. V is the vowel are A, E, I, O, U. However, there are certain exceptions. For example, in case of open, we have do not double the last word and it becomes opening, visit becomes visiting, and happen becomes happening, but we do not double the last word. In the case of certain verbs that end in ie, we drop the ie and add y plus ing. That is, in case of lie and tie, we drop ie and add y plus ing. For most of the verbs, we simply add ing. For example, eat becomes eating, send becomes sending, walk becomes walking. There are certain common mistakes which we normally do while forming the past perfect continuous tense. Let us see what are those tense. He has been looking for the keys. As told that we use had in the past perfect continuous tense. So we will use he had been looking for the keys. As already told, we do not use stative verbs in this sentence. They had been liking each other. So this sentence is wrong. We cannot use it in continuous form. Instead, we can write it like they had liked each other for many years. Next, she hadn't been working. You will observe had not been has been written in a proper form. It should be in the form of hadn't. She hadn't been working. Next, he had been writing poems. As you know, when we write plus add ing, we remove e. So the correct word is he had been writing. We drop e. Same happens in the case of coming. Come becomes coming. E removed. I had been looking for the keys since 2 months. Here, duration of the time is given, and when the exact time is not given, we use for. Next, I had been living here since 10 years. It is wrong because exact timing is not given. We will use here for. If there has been written 2015 or exact time has been given, we would have used I had been living here since 2015. Now we will do practice. I dash think of cooking pizza. Here there is a hint that we have to form the distance in the form of subject plus had been plus first form of the verb followed by ing and then object. I had been thinking. Next, he dash not hope. He had not been hoping to pass the examination. They look for the keys. They had been looking for the key. She prepared for the examination. We will write it as she had been preparing. Preparing. We will remove E. She had been preparing for his exam. Now we will write the next line in negative form. He exercises regularly, as there is a hint that we have to first write subject, then had, and followed by not. He had not been exercising regularly. We had not been checking our voicemail. I sleep well. I had not been sleeping well. Now, these are the interrogative questions. As question mark has been put at the end of the sentence, had she been feeling unwell? Here is the formation of this sentence. Had followed by subject, then been, first form of the verb plus ing plus object. Had you been texting each other? He followed by had been studying. He had been studying in New Delhi before he shifted to Mumbai. Now comes the summary. This is the positive form of the tense. They had been learning English. This is the negative form. They had not been learning English. This is the interrogative form of the tense. Had they been learning English? With time, practice, and hard work, you can learn a lot. I hope you have understood this tense in a very satisfactory manner. Thanks for watching. If you like our course, please spare some time to give a star rating to our course.